Quito swirls in a basin and I swirled in Quito. I fought stagnation. I abated and waited, unsure of the finish line. Chest out, mind sharp, hands ready. I breathed in moments that could fork to anywhere. Every conversation was an interview. Where will you take me? Each side of the barman's moustache was able to sustain a separate conversation. One side spoke to a young German backpacker, drunk in her photography and blinded by cultural immersion. The other spoke to the bar's longtime friend and client, Gutierrez, who told me that his wife cared little for him, but food was more important than love. The toad. He was a toad. He was a toad sat under the waterfall, and it rained glee upon his inflated body. He was perfectly crafted in round. The waterfall loved the toad. It bounced off his bald, round head onto his soggy, round shoulders and again onto his enormous, round belly. His smile split his face in half, a gouge like those in the rocks behind him. With a lazy, round tongue peering out between his right teeth, he smiled, he laughed, he shimmered, and he stammered rambled, gurgled words of happiness through a curtain of busy water. The man, the toad, the image of desirable old age. Beware the blonde in the red dress. Barefoot, box ticker, Equatorian gold digger, tease the cocktail, raise the cock, shake the tail, a half glass nearly full. The girl in the red dress and her fat friend were like the deep-sea fish with a light on its head. One part attracted the local Equatorian flock, young, dumb, and full of cum, and the other ate them up, consuming their willpower with a slow, insufferable boredom. Black man, bald head, Beats earphones hugging between ears. He had enough baggage to keep a guitar busy for a while, but instead he wrote. Abdul was from Sudan, Khartoum to be precise. He'd fucked up, although he preferred to put it into other words. It was a Friday night when he arrived in the US for the first time, flying into downtown Reno to land face first into the worst of American culture. He had little control over his arrival, yet he was one of the few Sudanese to control his departure, yet he chose to leave. Abdul the Sudanese. He left a student visa that would give birth to a working visa and a doctorate in electrical engineering. Now he's writing a novel in Ecuador. Colombia doesn't want him. They denied his visa. Abdul didn't know he needed one. Peru doesn't want him. They require him to have an Ecuadorian residence to give him a visa. Abdul didn't know he needed one. His family doesn't want him. They need him back, if at all, with a good reputation. Abdul doesn't want one. So Abdul the Sudanese writes a novel in Ecuador. Somewhere on the coast of Peru. Los chilenos son maricones. He liked that. The old fisherman sat next to his friend, who they said looked like Chuck Norris. It was a term of endearment. Proudly Peruvian, he said that he had no problem with any nation. We are all humans, he says. Why are there so many dead seals on the beaches? I asked. We kill them. How? Poison. Directly or by feeding them poison fish. With fish. But they're clever. They can smell the dangers, so we have to inject the poison into the flesh of the fish first. I ate pan con lomo. He ate soup. It's illegal, but we don't care. The sea is too full of animals, chirped in Chuck Norris. They come at us, and they break our nets, continued the fisherman. They break everything, and we lose our entire catch. We cannot live like that. The day before, we had been to 3 beaches. 9 dead seals on one, 5 on the other, and 3 on the next. Carrion birds didn't even touch them. They were bloated. Swollen tongues filled their mouths and their eyes were sunken back. Some had washed up onto the high line and were now dried leather, cradling a collapsed skeleton. Others were still in the surf, half their fur peeled off by the relentless waves. The largest rolled in and out along the smooth sand. As the outgoing wave allowed it to roll back towards the sea, its fins slapped the sand as it turned over itself, an expired battle to remain alive. Plaza de Armas, Arequipa. Facing the cathedral, Alec and I sat on a bench bathed in the sun. Old men were fast to claim the shade. The plaza moved in stillness. Hawkers, mothers, photographers, tourists, and church beggars circulated its diagonal path in an unspoken agreement for quiet. It was a city center sanctuary. An elderly man, as round as his hat, sat down next to us and asked the standard, "Are you passing through here?" I was bored of the usual answers. "Yes, I'm traveling south to Chile," said Alec. "I'm not," I said. "I'm working." "What work?" he asked. "I'm watching the people trying to spot the most likely candidates to sell drugs to." His face went very stern, and he shifted on his seat. "Drugs are not good. That's not good at all," he said. I sensed he did not realize that I was joking, but instead of simply explaining that, I unwisely tried to make it obvious through ridicule. You're right, it's terrible business, doesn't pay as well as it used to. I'm actually trying to pick out blonde-haired gringos, mark them for kidnapping, and then sell them on as hostage candidates in Iraq. He looked down, not at me, and turned to sit straight in his chair and raise his eyes to the cathedral. Oh, I've never heard of that before, he said. The hostel was run by two brothers, Eber and Clever. Clever, the younger, was the night watchman, deliberately so, such that he would have as little contact with other humans as possible. I had to wake him up to let us in, and he came out in a stunned daze, not quite sure of where he was. His handshake was earnest and clumsy. The alley had a communal gate, and he fumbled with the lock so long that we backed up traffic at midnight. He suggested a place to park the van. We had to explain that there it would park in the entire alleyway. He led us inside, initially to the wrong room. We slept. Clever continued sleeping. Clever was also in charge of breakfast, and at 7 in the morning, his right arm stirred pancake mixture, while his left arm fist-pumped the air, off-beat, blaring electronic music from an old phone. For our first breakfast, we had scrambled eggs. For our second breakfast, we got the pancakes, smothered in chocolate sauce. For the third breakfast, it was pancakes again, but this time the chocolate sauce was carefully crafted into the shape of each of our names, written across the top. For the fourth breakfast, my pancake read, Pussy. 4 days on, and Clever had clearly woken up. There are two types of romantic love. There's the you fill my empty spaces, I fill your empty spaces, let's partner up and through familiarity we will fall in love. And then there is a love where the language deep within me is the same as the language deep within you, and for the first time I can speak freely. My love for Latin America is very much the latter.
Swing. You good?